Today, this church gives memory to the sorrows of our Blessed Mother, Our Lady of Sorrows. The feast dates back to the 12th century, and then in the 1727, I think, it was officially given a major feast in the whole universal church. What it does is it recognizes the spiritual martyrdom of our Blessed Mother. Her 7 sorrows. It used to be called Our Lady of the 7 Sorrows, the 7 dolors of Mary. The first one, the presentation in the temple, when Simeon came and held the child, and then he predicted that a sword would pierce her heart. That was the first sorrow. And then there was after that, when they had to flee and go into Egypt because Herod wanted to kill the child Jesus. And Joseph and Mary had to flee away from their home to a strange land in order to keep the child safe. The next one was when he was lost for 3 days in the temple. And Mary and Joseph were just frantic. You can just imagine how they felt losing Jesus. And of course they find him. It's a sorrow for Mary, because then he said to her, "I must be about my Father's business." She knew the child was truly special. And then there was the meeting of Jesus on the way to Calvary. A great suffering for her on the way to Calvary. And then standing at the cross with his crucifixion and death, how a sword really pierced her heart at that moment. And then taking Jesus down from the cross, they placed him in her arms. The beautiful Pietà statue in Rome reminds us of that. Great scene. And then finally there's the burial of Jesus. Just as she wrapped him in linen cloth as a baby and placed him in the manger, she now wrapped his body in another linen cloth, preparing him for burial. The significance of the gospel today is very important. From the cross, Jesus looks down at Mary and he says to her, "Behold your son." It was really the birth of the church in a real way and shows the importance of Mary's role in the church. John the Apostle, whom Jesus loved especially, was a newly ordained priest, and he gave him his Blessed Mother, and she was to watch over all the priests in the future, to be with every priest as he ministers in the person of Jesus Christ. And it was the beginning of the church that he gave her to be all of our mothers, so that she would watch over us from heaven and care for us always. Very significant moment in the life of the church. And so this feast day reminds us that our Blessed Mother had so much faith in God that she never questioned it. In all the terrible sufferings that she saw Jesus endure, her heart was breaking. We can't even begin to imagine what she felt seeing him nailed to that cross. And yet she never gave up hope. She knew and believed and trusted in God's message to her that his will would be fulfilled. And of course, we know the rest of the story, with Jesus rising from the dead and with Mary being assumed into heaven at the Assumption, that he brought good out of all that difficulty. So it's a reminder to us that when things get difficult in our lives, we have to rely on the grace of our Blessed Mother and her prayers to persevere through the difficult times and never lose trust that God is always with us. What a tremendous gift that we know Mary is praying for all of us in heaven every day. Let us stand and offer our prayers and petitions.